Okay, so picture this. You're in an attic, maybe your grandfather's, and you find this dusty old box.
That's like old paper.
Totally. And you open it up, and inside is this stack of newsletters from 1937.
And not just any newsletters. These are like the internal memos for this huge kind of secret organization.
Right. And at first you think, okay, old magic tricks. Because this is the linking ring, the official, and this is their word organ of the International Brotherhood of Magicians, the IBM.
Oh, but the more you read, you realize it's not about the tricks at all.
Not even a little bit. It's a time capsule of this whole subculture. I mean, we read them cover to cover, January to November 1937, and it feels like you're eavesdropping.
You really are.
You're listening in on this secret society that's dealing with the depression, the threat of war, a huge leadership crisis, and I cannot stress this enough, an absolute obsession with ham sandwiches.
It's a wild mix. Secret society might be a little strong, but to an outsider, it definitely felt that way.
Well, the sources themselves say they connect people from, quote, shine boys to banked presidents.
I love that line. It also says the righteous to the racketeer.
Which just sets the scene perfectly, doesn't it? 1937 is this pivotal year. The country is still just clawing its way out of the Depression.
And you have this group where all of that, the social class stuff, it just seems to melt away the second somebody pulls out a deck of cards.
So that's our mission today. We are not going to teach you how to saw a person in half.
No.
We're going to look at how these people lived, how they grieved, how they ate. My God, how they ate. And just the bureaucratic mess of running a fraternity of tricksters.
And you have to remember the vibe.
Yeah.
These aren't like slick Vegas performers. These are guys in back rooms obsessing over pocket tricks, staying up all night.
And this newsletter was their lifeline, their only connection.
It was their internet.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get into it, because the story of 1937 for the IBM really starts with a major crisis.
A king is dead.
W.W. Durbin. Uncle Bill, they called him.
And Durbin wasn't just a president. He was like the center of gravity for the whole organization.
He ran everything out of his home in Kenton, Ohio. He was basically the mecca of magic. But then you get to the February issue, and it's just black borders on the pages.
Yeah, it's a heavy moment. They report he died at home February 4th at exactly 10:10 p.m.
The precision of that timestamp just gets me. It shows how much he meant.
They call him the symbol of the Brotherhood. One writer said he took his defeats alone without a whimper.
Which is such a tough 1930s description of leadership, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just take the hit, don't complain.
Yeah.
But there's this detail on the timeline that's just, it's gut-wrenching. You have to look at the January issue from just weeks before he died.
Ah, the formation of the Cincinnati Ring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For years, Durbin had been trying to get a local club started in Cincinnati. It was his white whale.
And it finally happens. January 1937, they charter ring number 71.
And what do they name it?
The W.W. Durbin Ring. In his honor.
It's just tragic irony. He gets this thing he's wanted for so long, his name is on it, and then less than a month later, he's gone.
And it really was the end of an era. Durbin was a politician, an operator. He knew how to make the machine run.
So the machine loses its operator. And this is where I kind of expected it all to fall apart, a power vacuum.
But that's not what happened.
Not at all. The whole vibe just shifts.
And the mantle falls to John H. Davison from Rhode Island. And if Durbin was the boss, Davison immediately becomes the grandfather.
Everyone starts calling him Uncle John. Actually, the whole newsletter is filled with that. Uncle this, mother that. It feels less like a guild and more like a big, weird family reunion.
That's a great way to put it. Davison was a veteran, 60 years in magic. He wasn't a politician. He was there to be a steady hand.
And they clearly needed that. By November, they throw this huge testimonial dinner for him. And the description is so lavish for the time, they give him a Gladstone traveling bag.
Which was like the luxury luggage of the 1930s.
But the part that really tells you about the culture is what they did for his wife, Mother Davison.
Yeah, she had been ill with paralysis, hadn't been out in public for ages.
And they bring her to the dinner and give her this huge bouquet of roses. It's just a really tender moment for a bunch of guys who trick people for a living.
It shows the brotherhood part was real. It wasn't just branding.
So it shifts from an organization about expansion under Durbin to one about emotional support under Davison. They were circling the wagons.
And speaking of circling the wagons, let's talk about what happened inside those wagons.
Because if there's one thing these newsletters talk about more than death or magic, it's food.
The eats.
I have never, ever read about a group of people more excited about lunch meat.
It's staggering, isn't it? The local ring reports are basically just menus.
And the phrase that kept coming up was attacking the viands.
Viands. It's such a great old-timey word, but they treat every meal like a battle. We attack the viands.
Let's zoom in on Rhode Island Ring 44,
Yeah.
because these guys were the undisputed champions of snacking. They list sliced ham, baked beans, and get this, meat cakes with special sauce.
Served by a Mrs. Tongue, no less, at the Abbott Run picnic.
I have so many questions. What is a meat cake? Is it like a meatloaf cupcake? And what is the special sauce? We will never know.
But the sheer amount of food seems to be the point.
Well, you have to think about the context. It's 1937. The Depression is still very real. For a lot of these guys, food insecurity was a recent memory.
So these feeds were a huge deal. It wasn't just a snack. It was sustenance.
Right. It's that idea of the third place. You have home, you have work, and you need that third place where you could just be.
And for them, that was the IBM meeting. A warm room, good company, and a guarantee you were going home full.
And apparently very caffeinated. Did you catch the story about Mrs. Baker's coffee pot?
Oh, the legend of the coffee pot. It's my favorite detail in the whole run.
The writer, W. Clark, he says this coffee pot at Ring 44 is so massive, he bets she could get inside it if she tried.
And he makes a point of saying she lifts it herself, no cart. It's this almost mythical image of abundance and strength.
The great coffee pot of Rhode Island. But it gets weirder. They didn't just eat the food, they played with it. We have to talk about the contests.
Oh boy, I know where this is going.
Okay, the apple paring, coring, and eating contest sounds dangerous enough.
Knives and speed eating, what could go wrong?
But that is nothing. Nothing.
Well,
compared to the nipple contest.
yes. This requires some explanation.
Please. I read it 3 times. I still don't totally believe it.
It's described as a pop drinking contest, but the soda bottles were fitted with rubber nipples.
So we're all clear. You have a bunch of grown men bank presidents, maybe a racketeer or 2 frantically nursing on soda bottles.
To see who can finish first.
Why? I mean, seriously, why?
It's regression, pure escapism. Think of the stress of 1937. You're worried about money, about war. At the magic picnic, you get to be a kid again. You get to be ridiculous in a safe place.
It definitely breaks that image of the mysterious tuxedo-clad magician.
Oh, absolutely.
But they didn't just stay in their backyards. Some of these sources take us out into the real world, and the settings are just jarring.
You're thinking about Peoria?
The Caterpillar Tractor Company. This story blew my mind.
It's this incredible intersection of heavy industry and light entertainment. So Caterpillar sends out a questionnaire to 10,000 employees about their hobbies.
Which is pretty progressive for 1937 HR, you know? What do you do for fun?
And it turns out they have enough magicians and musicians on the payroll to form the Caterpillar Artists Bureau.
And the visual they describe is amazing. They held shows in the company showroom. So the audience is sitting there among dozens of giant tractors.
Can you imagine that backdrop? You're watching a guy do a card trick, and right behind him is a 10-ton earth mover.
And they had a 100-piece Caterpillar military band. This was not a small-time talent show.
It just shows how magic was woven into everyday life then. It wasn't just for a theater. It was for the factory floor.
Speaking of performing, these guys obviously loved an audience, but their favorite audience seemed to be each other. And not always in a supportive way.
The pranks.
There's a story in John Booth's column, Magic of the Moment, that just captures this perfectly.
The Booth and Calvert switcheroo, it's a classic road story.
So John Booth, a magician, is visiting the show of this big illusionist named Calvert. They're backstage, and an amateur magician knocks on the door, desperate to meet the great Calvert.
And just on a whim, they decide to mess with him.
A big whim. Booth pretends to be Calvert, and the real Calvert pretends to be Booth.
And the poor amateur totally falls for it. He's fawning all over Booth, asking for advice, while the actual star is just standing there.
But then comes the punchline. It's showtime. And Booth, who is still pretending to be Calvert, turns to the real Calvert and says, "Why don't you go perform the next act so I can see if you can handle it?"
It's so bold.
So the amateur watches the real Calvert perform this amazing illusion, thinking he's just some random guy trying out.
And afterward, he goes up to Booth, the fake Calvert, and says, "That fellow is pretty good," considering it was the first time he has done it.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But it says so much about their psychology, right? It's all about being in on the secret.
Being in the inner circle, that's what it's all about.
You don't know the secret handshake, kid.
Exactly.
But being in that inner circle wasn't all fun and games. When you dig into the committee reports, you see the messy reality of it all.
The bureaucracy of brotherhood.
Let's start with the Sick and Welfare Committee. Sounds nice, right? They send books and candy to sick members.
But the guy running it, Harry E. Cecil, he ran it with an iron fist of guilt.
He really did. He publishes these rants in the newsletter, basically scolding everyone. He writes, "It is not very pleasing to know how lightly our appeals are taken. He's mad they aren't donating enough books."
To be fair, though, the need was real. He mentions one member, W. Clark, who had been bedridden for 11 weeks.
11 weeks.
In 1937, with no TV, no internet, you're just staring at the ceiling. Cecil knew that a book or a letter from the Brotherhood was a lifeline for guys like that.
Okay, that makes sense. The guilt trip was a necessary evil. But then you get to the convention reports, and the bureaucracy gets shady.
The High Point, North Carolina Convention.
The report is just a litany of disasters. The building was wrong, dealers were bouncing checks. But there's one line item in the budget, item 14, sheet 2.
Paid without argument, as the police must be pacified.
The police must be pacified. That does not sound like a permit fee. That sounds like a shakedown.
It certainly implies a situation that required an immediate, off-the-books solution. Paid without argument is the key phrase.
What do you think it was? Gambling? Booze?
Could be anything. A noise complaint? Maybe a local sheriff who just decided to levy an out-of-towner tax?
It's just a stark reminder that they're playing wizards, but they're operating in the real world of small-town corruption.
The magic happens on stage. Off stage, you have to pay the cops.
So we've had death, meat cakes, tractors, and police payoffs. But the year ends exactly where it started.
Back with W.W. Durbin.
The Back to Kenton pilgrimage.
In November, 48 magicians make the trip back to the old headquarters in Ohio. And the schedule for that event is the perfect summary of this whole year.
It starts at the cemetery. They go to Durbin's grave to pay their respects.
And the detail about the wreath is so specific. It's made of wax flowers and other weather-wearing materials.
Such a practical Midwestern detail. Winter's coming. We need a tribute that can handle the snow. It's so solemn.
But then the sun goes down.
And the mourning period is officially over.
They all head to Abe Martin's restaurant, and the tone shifts completely. They're eating ice cream with Cecil's fudge topping, there's the food again, and doing tricks in a back room until 4 in the morning.
That duality is the heart of the IBM in 1937. They can weep by a grave in the afternoon and then stay up all night delighting each other with card tricks.
It's a coping mechanism. Life is short, Uncle Bill is gone, so let's eat fudge and fool each other while we still can.
And while this is happening, while they're all huddled in this back room in Ohio, there's this one tiny detail in the mainly personal section that it gave me a chill.
The postcard from Charles H. Larson?
Right. He's this wealthy member traveling in Europe, buying up rare magic gear. And he sends a postcard saying, "I got 3 knockouts yesterday in Hamburg."
He mentions Hamburg, Dresden, Vienna.
And when you read those city names today, knowing it's late 1937, you know what's coming. You know what's about to happen to those cities. And here's this guy just blissfully shopping for tricks.
It casts this long shadow over everything. You realize that this cozy Back to Kenton party with the fudge and the wax flowers, it's all happening on the edge of a cliff.
It makes their obsession with the Brotherhood with this linking ring make so much more sense. They were holding on to what they could control.
When the world is spinning off its axis, you retreat to your third place, to the people who get you.
So when we close this time capsule, what are we left with?
I think it's a portrait of community resilience. It's easy to laugh at the nipple contests and the meat cakes, but this was a lifeline for these men. They got each other through death, illness, the depression.
It really makes you think about our modern idea of connection. I mean, we have subreddits and Discord servers, but do we have anything that really rivals this meat cake eating, police pacifying, grave visiting Brotherhood of 1937?
That's a great question. Can you imagine a subreddit chipping in to buy a moderator a luxury suitcase?
Or driving through a snowstorm to see a card trick? There's a real magic in just showing up.
That's it. That's the real secret.
Now, before we go, I do have to mention the sources talk about a book on sin cleansing and a magician named Fooling You.
Ah, yes.
And look, it's 1937. It's messy. It's dated. We're not going to pretend it's perfect.
No, history is clean. It's always complex.
But if you strip all that away, you find this universal human need, the need to belong.
And the need to be amazed, even if it's just by a woman lifting a giant coffee pot.
Especially then. That's the image I'm leaving with. Mrs. Baker, the strongest woman in Rhode Island, pouring coffee for a room full of wizards.
A perfect image.
Thanks for taking this deep dive into the archives with us. And to you, listening, maybe go find your own third place, your own Back to Kenton party.
Just maybe skip the nipple contest.
Or don't. We don't judge. This deep dive is complete.